what we're going to do is we're going to kick off the show with someone who ran in the Pittsburgh Marathon on Sunday. He ran, I believe, in the team relay, Mr. Andrew Steighner. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. Now, let's just jump right into it. There was a couple different kind of races going on at the Pittsburgh Marathon. Can you describe which one you were in and the other kinds that were going on?
Yeah, sure. I participated in the relay marathon, as mentioned, and what it was is there was just 5 legs to it, and each person on my team just ran a different distance that added up to the 26 miles. Also, then there was the half marathon, which was 13.1 miles. Then there was the full marathon, which was 26.2 miles. And also they had a wheelchair division this year for people to compete in.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of upper body as opposed to lower body.
Absolutely.
Now, you guys ran in the relay. I assume you each – how many people were on the team, by the way?
Well, you could have anywhere from 2 to 5 people on the team, but we entered with all 5 people that we were allowed to.
Okay. Now, with the 5 people, what did the branches look like, or the legs of the race look like, and what leg did you run?
It started out with a 5.5-mile run, then it went to a 3.5, then there was the 6.4-mile run, which I ran that. Then it went to a 6.1 miles, and then it finished up with a 4.5-mile run.
That's a lot of miles. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Now, your teammates were people you know, I assume?
Yes, actually, I ran with Frank Nagy, and then Mark and Mike Brown, and Julie Cloak.
Oh, you getting the girls in on the team as well. What was your final time?
Our team completed it in 3 hours and 43 minutes.
Now, I'm kind of ignorant to that. That's a pretty good time?
Yeah, actually, if you can break the full marathon in about, just for your average Joes in about 4 hours, then, that's considered real good. We anticipated on finishing around 4 hours, 15 minutes, 4 hours, 20 minutes, but so when we saw our time at 3 hours, 43 minutes, we were really pleased.
Yeah, I can imagine. You almost cut an hour off of what you anticipated on running it in. Now, on Sunday, the weather was pretty good. It was pretty sunny out, not a whole lot of precipitation out. Was that ideal for you, or what is your ideal running condition? Last year, there was some rain, and it was kind of misty. Is that better for you, or what kind of weather conditions you prefer?
Right. See, this year actually was pretty much what I would consider ideal. I mean, around 7:30 when the race started, it kicked off. It was probably about 65, 70 degrees with a light breeze. And by the time I started my leg of the race and finished it, it was around probably 75 and sunny. Although I know for the last 2 legs of it, it was pretty hot for the last 2 runners, Mark and Julie. They were saying about how it was kind of rough because it was pretty hot out there. They even opened up the fire hydrants for the last few miles for the runners.
So, oh, wow.
Yeah, but for me, though, I considered it a pretty ideal day. I couldn't ask for more on the race. Absolutely,
and you got pretty ideal because you ran the first leg, so you kind of had the cooler conditions. You're not exactly a rookie to this. You ran in the half marathon last year, am I right?
Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the main difference between training for the relay or training for the half, or was there a difference in training at all? Because in the half, you got to really pace yourself and you got to make sure you have enough endurance. In the relay, if you have that endurance already, did you kind of push yourself a little bit more on the shorter leg?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the difference between last year and this year was I had to run about twice the distance last year, and that was the big key thing for me last year. Training was just learn how to pace myself because I just wanted to get up and go sometimes, but I just had to learn to pull the reins back. And as you mentioned, for this year, then knowing that I only had to run about half the distance, and I was, still in pretty good shape for it, I really worked on being able to push myself even harder for that, 6.5 miles, and especially because it was mainly uphill too, so I just had to work on hills too to make sure I was prepared for that.
Yeah, that's some serious leg strength going up hills. Now, did anybody on the team really? And I don't want you to have to rat anyone out or anything. Was there at one point where you were thinking people were struggling? You don't have to say which teammate it was, but did you see some people on your team struggling a little bit?
No, I didn't actually at all. I mean, Frank ran the second leg, then he passed off to me, and he looked like he was going real strong when he passed off to me. And then whenever we all talked after the race, everybody seemed like they really were feeling good for the race, mainly because of the good conditions we had.
Good. And just to kind of let us in, how does that relay work? Now, do you just get to a certain point and then I'm assuming there's no baton or anything, or maybe there is. How do you go from one runner to the other when it comes to the marathon relay?
Right. Whenever you get to the different exchange points at the certain mileages, they have the people that are running the half and full marathon. They stay on the right side of the road, and then on the left side of the road, they have a big banner that says relay exchange. So the person that's handing off to your next teammate, they'll run through that, and then they have signs up that will have your bid number, so you know where to find your partner.
Okay.
So as you're running through the relay exchange, you can read the numbers that they have signed up, and then your teammate will be somewhere around where your number is. So then when you get there, your teammate should be popped out. You hand, pretty much they were doing just a high five, or you pass off your backpack or something that you were holding on to your teammate, and then you'd be able to continue, and then you just do the same thing for there were 4 exchanges, and then it just finishes when the last person crosses the finish line.
Now that sounds really easy whenever you put it into words, but did you ever notice, not necessarily you, but maybe other teams getting mixed up trying to find out where their teammates were? Did it all kind of go rather smoothly?
Yeah, it went fairly smoothly for the most part. I mean, there was some participants that I saw that had a hard time finding their partners, but for the most part, the staff for the marathon did an excellent job, because they'd pass down the number of the person crossing through the exchange, and then they'd find that person and have them out on the road ready to go. So it was fairly easy to get the transfer going. Good.
And you guys had a very good time, and obviously there was a lot of people involved here. Now, were there more, and I don't expect you to have exact numbers on this, were there more people on the relay, or did you think that there was more people running the half marathon, or do you think that there was more people doing the whole shebang at the 26.1? How many, as a whole, I'm sure there was like thousands of people flooding the city. What do you think people were doing more?
I believe that the thing that people did most, was the half marathon. I think it went the half marathon, and then the full marathon, and then the least amount of people did the relay.
Now, we saw, and we actually talked about this before you came on air. A lot of people some people just do the marathon for the sheer fact to say that they did it, and they could take them, if they were doing the 26 miles, it could take them 7, 8, 9 hours. But
right.
Did you see some people that were doing it just to say that they did a marathon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I even talked to some people who are just saying that, it's a great environment to be involved in, and especially with the spectators they had, that, and it was something good for them to do to get in shape. So people were obviously excited to do it, and then they just want to have a little bit of bragging rights to say that they completed a full marathon.
Absolutely. It's something I can't say that I have done. Whenever you were running, and you're kind of go into that runner zone, or at least you try to go into that runner zone where you're not thinking about how out of breath you are or how much your legs hurt or what have you. What would you say is the hardest part about running in maybe not just the relay marathon, but running in general in long distances? What is the hardest part to deal with?
As we talked about before, it's probably the pacing is what I would have to say. I mean, when you start out, let's say you're going on a 10, 15-mile run, you might feel good the first 3 or 4 miles, and you feel, okay, I can really push myself today. And then, but by the time you get to miles 9 or 10, when you overdid yourself in those first 3 or 4 miles, that really starts to come back and haunt you. So it's just a matter of getting to know your body and just going from there and being able to continuously pace yourself throughout the whole thing, so that you're not going too slow at the beginning, but also that you're not going too fast that you're going to burn yourself out by whatever miles 9 or 10 or whatever you're running.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's a couple of novices out there who barely trained, but they're in really good shape, and they just take off, and by mile 3 or 4, they're dragging. As a runner, and you've been training yourself to do this for a while, how do you push through whenever you get to that, you hit that wall, the runner's wall, so to speak, whenever, no one's pushing you, no one's making you, continue that pace, no one's telling you that you have to continue, it's all you wanting to will yourself to do it. How do you push through that whenever your legs are tired, you're out of breath, and it's hot out? How do you kind of push all that to the side and tell yourself or force yourself to keep going?
Well, for me, I just start breaking it down for myself. I'm like, okay, just breathe, just keep your feet going, keep moving. And then also I immediately start to think about, okay, you're already, let's say, 8, 9 miles in. You've already accomplished this much. So what's to say you can't do another 2 or 3 miles that only take you, 20 minutes to a half hour? So I just tell myself, in 20, 25 minutes, you'll be done. You'll be able to relax. You'll be able to go home. You'll have a nice evening. So it's just a little bit of time that you wouldn't think about that you'll be able to finish it out, and then you'll be able to relax and do whatever you want from there. So it's just telling yourself, hey, I only have a little bit more to go. Just push yourself through, and you can relax later. And also, if you get to the point where you keep telling yourself, when you get to that exhausted point, and you go, well, maybe I'll just stop today, and I'll do another run tomorrow. That can transfer over from day to day, and then it can even get to the point where you tell yourself, all right, I'm just not going to run today. So it could have a negative effect on yourself, too, that you just got to keep that mental sharpness and push yourself through when you're feeling exhausted.
I can see a lot of people saying, well, I've done enough for today, or I'm tired today, I'll make up for it tomorrow, and then you get progressively, I guess not progressively, but worse as you keep running. Now, we were talking off air before, a couple of days ago, and you kind of have a funny story about the marathon last year, where you maybe thought you were finishing a little earlier than you were. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was actually like I was talking about on that mile 11 when I got there. We were crossing one of the bridges, and even though I knew beforehand where the finish line was, they had big banners that were telling you where the different mileages were. Like I think they had it every half mile or mile, and I saw a huge banner up across the bridge ahead of me, and I thought to myself, okay, there's the finish line. You've made it this far. Let's just go as hard as you possibly can. So for the whole length of the bridge, I was just going as hard as I could. And then when I got there, it said, you only have a half mile more to go. And I just thought to myself, I was like, oh boy, you really did yourself in. And at that point, when I had that far to go, I was just like, geez, just walk. You've spent yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I slowly but surely dragged myself across the finish line with a decent jogging pace, but I definitely should have realized that I still had a little bit more to go rather than breaking out the sprint at that point.
Well, at least you know that you could dig down deep and push yourself that fast, and knowing that you wanted to cross the I guess it was the figurative finish line at that point, but
yeah.
I mean that had to be at least gratifying in a way. I got to ask you, and this is coming from probably a lot of athletes and a lot of non-athletes. Everyone hates running, and for the most part. I mean, you're looking any other sport, and you're at the high school level, and at the end, you do your running, and people are like, "Oh, come on, running!" And so you got to think that the people like you and the other people that do the marathon, they're wired differently because they're running out of choice. What part about running? Do you most like, or what excites you about running, or the competition of racing for the most part?
Right. Well, I first started running about 2 years ago. It was just to get in shape for my basketball season, and I never wanted to do it. It was actually the athletic trainer at the school, Chris Davies. He's the one that just kept getting me to go run every day and get in shape. And after about a month or two of doing it, I really started to sit back and think about it. And say to myself, hey, I actually enjoy this. And then it sort of became a game for myself. That each day when I ran it was, okay, you ran this far yesterday in this amount of time. How far can you push yourself physically and mentally today? So it was a challenge for me on a day-to-day basis to see how I progress physically and mentally, running-wise. And also, it transfers into other things in your life, schoolwork and things like that, that if you keep pushing yourself and give yourself a challenge each day, and you meet it, sometimes you'll fall short, but as long as you're trying and you're doing what you're setting yourself out to do, that it's just that challenge that really gets me involved and really love running.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it's very transferable to other things, life goals or work or what have you. It's that attitude is what you take away with it, which is something that a lot of people can't say that they have. Now, I'm gonna get you out of here on this question. I assume you're planning on doing more races in the future. Do you ever see the big one in your future, the 26 miler? Do you ever see that in your future, running the full marathon?
Yes, actually, in the fall. There's a half marathon they have up in Erie where I go to college, and myself and Mark Brown, who also goes to school up there, and one of my teammates for the relay. I think him and I are going to run the half marathon in Erie in the fall. But then also, I'm trying to set my sights on doing the full marathon next year, the whole 26.2. And some of the other guys, I know Mark was telling me that he didn't think that I'd be able to do it, and then I just ended up doing the half marathon with them. So hopefully I can prove them wrong and do the 26.2 next year and have a good year of training that I'm capable of doing that.
Yeah, don't let them drag you down. You want to do the 26, you go do the 26.
Yeah, well, I expect you to be right there with me, though.
Oh, you want? Yeah, with my knee, I'll be right out there with you. I may be on some kind of elliptical machine. I can elliptical a marathon with you, but You know what? If you sign up for the marathon, perhaps I'll go with you.
Okay, you can volunteer to get a free shirt. That'll work.
Oh, well then, yeah, then it's set. Then it's settled. We shall do it. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking time out to be on the Sports Zone, Andrew. We appreciate it, and good luck in the future with all your running and everything else.
All right, thanks, John. Love the show. Appreciate being on.
Yep, anytime.